Huge mountains, big scenic overlooks, thin air, covering lots of miles. These are things that I'm familiar with. Being from Colorado, I've grown up hunting in the mountains. It's about all I've ever known. But this time, we're going the other way. I've traded in my hiking boots for a tree stand, and I'm going on a Nebraska whitetail hunt. It's about a 5-hour drive. I'm anxious to get in the stand. First morning here in Nebraska. I'm pretty excited to be sitting here. This is cool. It's so different and just relaxing. I got lost this morning getting to the stand. Our farm's pretty good size, so a lot of things grew up this year. But I found, so this is my setup. I've got big ag fields behind me. It looks like it's corn this year, so that's pretty cool. Pasture in between me and the corn. Me, I've got river bottom with this little corridor here. And then down in there, there's a spring. The farm is a cool place. 640 acres, mostly pasture, but there's some good river bottom, and the rustic charm of this old house always makes me feel like I'm at home. I've been hunting here for 3 years now, as well as a couple other properties in the area. Last year I was fortunate enough to take a small doe. This year I was really focused on holding out for a nice buck. As I was sitting in the stand thinking, as you often do because there's not much else to do, I wanted to make a video to showcase my experience with the differences between western hunting and eastern hunting. Example 1. Rubber boots are not the best option for covering miles. Can't beat the warmth of a good pair of rubber boots though. Darkness is such a sacred time. That walk to the stand is always such a cool experience. It's like it provides a mentally relevant cloak of invisibility, even though you know that there's deer probably all around you. Plus, having a sunrise unfold right before you as you're sitting motionless in a tree stand is tough to beat. Difference number 2, the biggest one in my opinion. Pretty cold, and still kind of figuring out my clothing system for these conditions. It's so much different than hiking around because you can't just move to warm up, you just sit. The next big difference is how much preparation goes into finding a good spot for a tree stand, setting the stand, and then finally hoping to reap the rewards of the location that you chose. We run trail cameras basically right after elk season ends here in Colorado up through the rut. It gives us lots of good information and ideas on where to put stands through places deer are moving. This one should be good. There's big cornfields up on top and the river bottom down below. It's a good travel corridor. After all the prep work is done, it's time to get your butt in a tree and sit still. You will definitely see deer if you're in a good spot and you don't move around too much. This little buck came in, kind of meandered around before he was on his way. The first year I came out here, I was worried that I'd get bored sitting up in a tree, but with something always going on around you, you never really get bored. These raccoons were all in a group together. I really wanted to shoot one, but I decided I better not because it'd probably scare away any deer. Some does just seem to be able to pick you off no matter what. But sometimes if you sit perfectly still and you have good wind, they'll kind of work their way around without spooking out. This one had a fawn trailing behind her, but she was more intent on staring at me and stomping her feet. She finally worked around and kind of fed past me before turning around to go get her fawn, and they walked the opposite direction. If a deer ever stares at you, I try to squint my eyes real low, and she must have seen something she didn't like there, but she didn't go very far. I think she was just maybe in her comfort zone or something, but she kept doing her thing. It's really important to always be looking around. I happened to look behind me and I saw these two does coming up through the woods, and they finally made their way up to me. I saw that they were two, probably year and a half old does. They were both the same size, and their faces were really short, and they were pretty small overall, but they let you get away with a little bit more movement. However, I wanted to stay still just so I could hopefully get some good video of them, and I did. It's cool to just watch them. Told myself that if I saw an 8-point buck, I was going to take the shot. That was about to happen. As he entered this opening at 22 yards, I drew back my bow and waited for him to stop. Dang it. Brush covering the vitals. At this point, I'd been at full draw for about a minute and decided to let down and regroup. That was my arrow bouncing off the rest when I let down. Luckily, he didn't hear it. As soon as I saw him turn left, I drew back, settled in, and got ready to take the shot. That far tree is at 35 yards. It's now or never. I shot my first whitetail buck. I didn't see him run out too far, so I think he's just like right over from where I shot him. I don't want to go over there yet, but I think I heard him lay down. So I'm going to wait a little while longer. I just found my buck. Look at this. What a shot. So there's the tree stand. There's my arrow. And there's my buck. Yes! So awesome. Oh man, I am pumped. Let's go take a look at him. Looks like the shot was a little far back, but I obviously hit the liver since he only went 15 yards. On this hunt, I ended up using a bow that I only had for 2 weeks. That being said, I shot it almost every single day to try to learn the ins and outs of it. Turns out it worked. And there you have it. My first whitetail buck, my first deer buck of any kind. I couldn't be happier. He's not a giant, but he's an 8-point. That's what I set my goal to, and I achieved it. More often than not, people head west on their hunting adventures. I find myself headed east every November to chase these awesome deer. They taste amazing, and it's just such a cool experience to be able to immerse yourself in something new. I have a huge appreciation for the hunters that chase these deer every fall. The prep work, the patience, the attention to detail, and the ability to sit still when it's really cold. Man, my hat's off to you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, shoot straight.